Welcome to the Secrets of the World, your premier destination for tales of intrigue, suspense, and mystery. If you're discovering our channel, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to never miss any of our latest episodes. Today we dive into an unimaginable event, the night when an assassination attempt was orchestrated against President Ibrahim Traore, right at his dinner table. But what they hadn't anticipated was that Ibrahim's life wasn't only protected by his security service, it was defended by something far more unexpected: his mastery of martial arts. It was supposed to be a peaceful evening in the heart of the presidential palace. After an exhausting week of diplomatic meetings and international calls, Ibrahim Traore, the newly elected president of Burkina Faso, yearned for a rare moment of tranquility. He had chosen to dine alone in the quiet of his private dining room, a haven of peace after the tumult of leading a country in full turbulence. The meal was modest, nothing extravagant, just a small table set with his favorite traditional dishes, steam rising from the bowl of rice and vegetables before him. But as he settled in, a strange uneasiness invaded his chest. It wasn't just the solitude, it was the feeling that something wasn't right, that an invisible presence floated in the air. Ibrahim, always the perceptive leader, had learned to trust his instinct, and at this moment, his instinct was screaming at him to be vigilant. He swept the room with his gaze, searching for any sign of disturbance. Nothing apparent. The candles flickered gently and the walls remained motionless, yet this sensation persisted. The door opened and a figure entered the room. His personal assistant, Amadou, a trusted man who had accompanied Ibrahim since the early days of his campaign, entered with a worried expression. "Mr. President, everything is secure," declared Amadou, his voice tinged with urgency, "but we need to discuss the situation in the northern districts." Ibrahim nodded, gesturing for him to sit. "Not tonight, Amadou," he replied calmly. "Tonight, we'll have a quiet dinner. Tomorrow, we'll face the chaos." But Amadou wasn't reassured. He lingered near the door for a moment, as if he wanted to add something, but finally, he nodded again and left, leaving Ibrahim to his meal. As soon as the door closed behind Amadou, Ibrahim felt the change. The air thickened, the silence became too oppressive. He reached for his glass of water, his fingers brushing the cool surface, but something was off. Without warning, his heightened senses triggered. The smell of something unusual, the sound of a door closing too quietly, too suddenly. Ibrahim's mind raced. He couldn't identify it precisely, but he knew something was about to happen. Suddenly, the air broke with the sharp sound of a chair scraping against the floor, followed by footsteps moving quickly across the polished floor. Ibrahim barely had time to react when a figure lunged at him from the shadows, knife raised. But Ibrahim was already moving. In a flash, Ibrahim's body responded without thought. His martial arts training kicked in, years of discipline, sharpening his reflexes, all culminating in this crucial moment. With a swift, fluid motion, he deflected the knife-wielding assailant's arm, sending the weapon clattering to the floor. The would-be assassin, clearly unprepared for this level of resistance, stumbled backward, losing his balance. But Ibrahim didn't hesitate. He closed the distance between them in seconds, his hands seizing the attacker by the collar and throwing him against the dining table. The force of the impact sent plates crashing to the floor, the sharp sound of broken china filling the room. Ibrahim's eyes were cold, his focus absolute. He wasn't just defending himself, he was protecting his life, his future, his country. The assassin struggled beneath him, but Ibrahim's grip tightened. He wasn't going to let this man, or anyone, derail everything he had worked for. "Où sont-you?" Ibrahim demanded, his voice cold and steady as he pinned the man to the ground. The assassin grunted, trying to break free, but Ibrahim's hold was unyielding. "Tel menao." For a moment, the man's eyes flickered, as if calculating whether to reveal the truth. But then with a low laugh that sent a chill down Ibrahim's spine, the assassin spat, "You're dead either way. We'll never stop." Ibrahim narrowed his eyes, pressing harder on the assassin's throat. "We'll see about that," he muttered. Just as he was about to apply more pressure, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Ibrahim paused for a brief second, just enough for the assassin to gasp, "They'll finish what we started. You don't know who you're dealing with." Before Ibrahim could react, the door burst open and a group of his bodyguards rushed inside. They immediately restrained the assassin, taking him away. One of the guards stepped forward, concern etched on his face. "Monsieur Président, are you all right?" Ibrahim straightened up, wiping his hands and adjusting his suit. His mind was already calculating the next move. "I'm fine," he said, his voice calm but filled with quiet intensity. "Get him to interrogation and seal the building. No one gets in or out."
The Assassin's Cryptic Word Linger in the Air, the promise of a deeper, more dangerous conspiracy engine over Ibrahim like a dark cloud.
This wasn't a random attack. The assassin had been trained, and his words were a warning. There was more to this plot, and Ibrahim had only scratched the surface. The hours following the attack seemed to last an eternity. Ibrahim Traore sat in his office, the soft glow of the desk lamp casting long shadows across the room. His hands were steady as he rifled through the files, examining the latest intelligence reports. The assassin had been captured, but his message still echoed in Ibrahim's mind: "You're dead either way, we'll never stop." Who were they and why had they targeted him? These questions gnawed at Ibrahim as he sifted through the documents, trying to make sense of the assassination attempt. The man had clearly been well trained, and his cryptic words only deepened the mystery. This wasn't a random attack. It wasn't a lone wolf acting on his own. This was organized, deliberate, and it had a far-reaching purpose. Amadou, his trusted aide, entered the room quietly, as if sensing the weight of the moment. "Sir," he said, breaking the silence, "we have the assassin in custody. We're preparing to interrogate him now, but we've also intercepted something that might explain the attack." Ibrahim didn't look up. He was too focused on the files in front of him. "Go on," he said, his voice tight. Amadou handed him a sealed envelope. "It's a list of names," he said. "Several high-ranking officials, and they're all connected to a covert operation we knew nothing about.
10 network goes deeper than we thought."
Ibrahim's pulse quickened as he opened the envelope. The list of names was short, but each one carried weight: ministers, generals, and even business moguls with ties to foreign governments. The connections were clear. There was a spy network embedded within his own government, people he had trusted, people who had been working against him from the beginning. But what was more unsettling was the realization that the attack on his life wasn't just about him. It was about control over Burkina Faso's future, its resources, its people. And someone or something was trying to rip that control away from his hands. "I want you to look into these names," Ibrahim said. His voice calm but filled with authority. "Find out everything you can. Who are they working for?
Où est pulling the string?"
Amadou nodded, understanding the gravity of the task. "We'll need more than just surveillance, sir. We'll need to infiltrate their networks, track their movements. This won't be easy." "I know," Ibrahim replied, his eyes hardening with determination. "But we don't have a choice. They came for me tonight, but I won't wait for them to come again. We need to move fast." As Amadou left to execute the orders, Ibrahim leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. The assassin had told him, "We'll never stop." That was a promise, not a threat. Someone was behind this attack, pulling the strings, and Ibrahim knew they would keep coming. But he wasn't going to sit idly by. He had survived the attack not by luck, but by instinct. His martial arts training had saved him. It had taught him how to read situations, how to stay calm under pressure, and how to strike at the right moment. As the files unfolded, Ibrahim discovered a shocking connection. The syndicate's mastermind was someone he had once considered an ally. The name was buried deep within the records, but it was undeniable: General Yago, the same man who had been one of his closest military advisors, the one who had sworn loyalty to Ibrahim.
Ibrahim's Briscogt.
Yago, the trusted general who had supported him from the beginning, had been orchestrating the chaos from the shadows. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. It was Yago who had helped the syndicate infiltrate the military. He had been coordinating weapons shipments, secret alliances, soldier recruitment, and the betrayal that ran deep within Ibrahim's own ranks. Later that evening, as Ibrahim sat alone in his office, the door opened again. This time, it was General Yago himself. His tall frame filled the doorway. He looked calm, almost too calm, as though he hadn't just been revealed as the mastermind behind the conspiracy that had nearly cost Ibrahim his life. "Good evening, Mr. President," Yago said with a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I trust you've been resting." Ibrahim's eyes narrowed as he stood from behind his desk. "You think you can just waltz in here after everything you've done?" His voice was calm, but the fury beneath it was palpable. "You think I don't know what you've been up to?" Yago didn't flinch. I knew it wouldn't take long for you to figure things out, he said smoothly, walking further into the room. But you have to understand, Ibrahim, this wasn't personal. This is about power, and you, my friend, have been holding us back. Ibrahim's heart raced. He had expected anger, defiance, maybe even a confrontation, but Yago's words were calculated, detached, almost as if he had accepted the inevitability of this moment. You've been working with Daira, Ibrahim said, his voice low but steady. You've been orchestrating this entire plot from the start, haven't you? The assassination was just the beginning.
Yago's smile widened.
It wasn't just the assassination, Ibrahim. It was the game, you see. The syndicate has been pulling the strings for years, but now with you out of the way, we can finally have the country we've always wanted. Ibrahim stepped forward, his eyes cold. You've underestimated me, Yago. You thought you could take control, but you'll learn that this country won't fall so easily. Yago's smile faltered, but only for a moment. He stepped back, his eyes flickering with something darker. We'll see about that, Ibrahim. The game is just beginning. Ibrahim didn't flinch as Yago turned and left, the door clicking shut behind him. The confrontation was far from over, but Ibrahim knew something now that he hadn't before. The battle wasn't just about who was behind the plot, it was about why they were doing it. And that reason would reveal everything. The shadow of betrayal looms over Ibrahim Traore as the plot against him deepens. The lines between friend and enemy blur, and the truth about the mastermind behind the assassination attempt begins to unravel. If you found this story gripping, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the voice of Ibrahim Traore. The road to power is never straightforward, and Ibrahim's journey is far from over. Stay tuned for more twists, secrets, and revelations. Until next time, remember, sometimes the deepest betrayal comes from those we trust the most.